Now we're going to go ahead with the presentation of Action Network number 2, Restoring Value to Grasslands. The title is Acknowledging, Assessing, and Enabling the Multiple Functions of Grassland Livestock Systems through a Participatory Process. The speaker is Alexandre Ickowicz. I don't know, Alexander, if Liz is also going to participate, but thank you for being here. We just asked for a very active presentation, allowing the audience to participate. So please allow for some questions and answers before the end of your presentation. And also we would like to ask for a very short summary of your main points at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Alexander, the floor is yours.
Okay, so hello everybody. Thanks to be here with us. I will share my presentation right now. Okay, can you see it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes. So thanks for being here. So we are going to present to you the work we have been doing in the Action Network 2, which is about restoring value to grassland. So this presentation is about acknowledging, assessing, and enabling the multiple functions of grassland livestock systems through a participatory process, excuse me. And you can see there that it is not so far from functional integrity, because it deals with functions of grassland systems. So I'm co-chairing this action network with Liz Wedderburn from New Zealand. Well, the time was not very good for her because she's in New Zealand and very, very late in the night, so she will not be with us today. And of course, many other colleagues are contributing to this work that I'm going to show to you. And there is about 100 members in this network, and not so many being completely active, but anyway, everybody following the activities we are dealing with. So why did we choose to work on multiple functions of grasslands? Of course, it's because livestock grazing systems are at the core of many socio-ecological systems all over the world on very large area, as you can see on the map, and also very large amount of population. Many 100 million people are living from this kind of livestock systems. So you can see from that it is at the nexus of course, food security, but also human, environmental, and social development issues. So not only about production, but also about environmental and societal impact, of course. But these systems are under rapid and increasing pressure from climate change, from competing on land use, from land degradation, economic context, which is not always very favorable to this kind of systems, and loss of skill management. So what we have been doing in this action network is to focus on the environmental and economic value of grassland, so that they are maintained, but restored and enhanced, but while promoting their social and cultural function globally. So we focus on the future of livestock grazing system by ensuring regeneration of the natural resource it relies on, and building resilience to cope with and deliver to the multiple interests of stakeholders who are involved at various scales, from the local to the global level. And in this perspective, there is a need to address specifically the contribution of livestock grazing system or grassland system to meet the SDGs globally, recognizing their multiple contribution to different SDGs, and also the diversity of stakeholders that are involved in the functioning of this livestock system on the landscapes. So what we've been doing in this action network is first, we have a first output, which is to document and standardize information. So we have built a database, which is on the website, the Global Agenda website, that you can find it at this address, and which at this time contains 38 cases of experiences about grassland management with a good and less good experience, and you can learn quite a lot about this. And from all this information, we can build some best practices guidelines or some information notes. But the main output is this one, the second one, which is the development and use of an integrated assessment methodology framework for assessing the multiple function of livestock grazing systems. So what we wanted to do is to look at grazing systems from 4 different points of view. You can see the social, production, and environmental point of view, which are quite usable, classic in the sustainable approach. But we added a 4th dimension, which is local development, because of the contribution of grazing system to local development, to landscape development, and so on. So the idea from that is to provide a space, framework, and process for the different actors to discuss and examine the trade-offs generated by the different policies and activities, and envision pathways and options and different scenarios for sustainable future. So from this first framework, then we built in a participatory approach with different kind of stakeholders. We build a conceptual framework where for each of the dimension we identified the entities which are involved in this process, the processes, but also the indicators that allow to analyze clearly what are the impact of this grassland system on these 4 different dimensions. Once we have been building this framework, conceptual framework, then we choose 6 cases where we tested the utility of the multifunctionality framework. And you can see here the 6 cases, one in silvopastoral system in Brazil. So you can see that there is some link with the Action Network 1, which Rogerio, who is working with us, talked to you a few minutes ago. We have a case in the Punya, in the mountain of Argentina, one in the mountain of Vietnam, another one in Mongolia, another one in the semi-arid zone in the Sahel, in Africa, in the Senegal, and finally another one in the French pastoral mountainous region for local development. So we tested this conceptual framework in these different cases, which are quite different one from the other in terms of agroecological zone, in terms of socio-political context. So this is really a diversity of cases. And if you want to know more about these cases, so go to the expo hall in the platform, and you can find there some posters and also a film which shows the French case. So when you apply this conceptual framework on the ground, then the different stakeholders on the field propose some indicators in the 4 dimensions, so that you can analyze and have results on the impact of these systems, this grassland system, on the different dimension of and on the multiple functions. So it goes from economy, production, social impact, food security impact, and so on and so on. This is the kind of result we have on the ground. And also what we can do from that is to build some simulation model with 2 main objectives. One is to build a simple simulation model to raise awareness of people. What is the interest of this approach, which allow when you choose a scenario or an option, and the simulation model can show you the impact on different type of indicators related to the 4 dimensions. And the second type of simulation model we can use is some models which are more specific to special field cases. So you can adapt this model to very specific field contexts, and then allow all the stakeholders to discuss about the different options. So what we learned from that is that this kind of approach, the multiple functional approach, can help to guide policy on the field. It can help to have a common framework to enable comparative analysis on different situations or countries or systems. It allows to identify shared solutions between local stakeholders who can discuss around this conceptual model. You can assess impact of policy options, climate change, consumer preferences on the different dimensions of this, and the different functions of this system. You can educate from this conceptual model, and the final result is really that it leads to more integrative knowledge, shared knowledge, and consistency about grassland system. So this is my final slide, just to say you where we are today and where we want to go for the coming months or years. So we have a conceptual framework on multiple functions of grazing systems to advertise, of course, and to build on for ongoing analysis. We have set a dynamic international network that we want to extend and to diversify. We have field cases where this conceptual framework helped to support multi-stakeholder discussions about contribution of grazing system to local development and also to global development. And we have applied and tested methodology and tools for assessing the contribution of grazing system to sustainable development. So that's what we have today. And what we want to do in next time is to support real changes in practices and in policies through multi-stakeholder process. We want to conduct assessment of change in practice and policies, and maybe other changes also regarding especially the sustainable development goals. We want to enlarge the network and implementation to improve the robustness of this approach, of this conceptual model. And we want finally to advertise and to communicate on the concepts, on the method, on the tools, on the results, which have been quite successful on the ground for today. Okay, so thank you very much, all of you for this presentation. I can imagine that you will have some question, but first of all, we want to give the floor to some people who have been involved in these case studies, in the field studies. So I think we have here today with us, I can't see everyone, but I know that Arona Diao, for example, who worked with us in the Senegal around this dairy industry system with pastoralists. And we want maybe to give him the floor to say a few words about how he's feeling about this approach in Senegal. So Arona, if you are there, I can give you the floor. Arona? Can you hear me? So Arona, we can't hear you. You have your microphone out. Can you put your microphone on? No. Oh well, we are not going to. Well, Arona, I don't know whether you hear me. So if you are not available at this time, maybe I can give the floor to Huyen Leti, who is a colleague from Vietnam, who also contributed to this study in Vietnamese mountains. And maybe she can give some words about her experience about this work. Huyen, if you have the floor.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexandre. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for very nice presentation. Yeah, for implementing the case study in Vietnam from your presentation. From my point of view as a researcher, I think this is a new approach and useful tool to quantify the values of multiple functions of grazing livestock system, and concerning 4 dimensions of production, ecosystem, social and local development, and also quantify the contribution of grazing land in the livestock value chains at different levels. So far in Vietnam, the researchers only concerned on a single or couple of dimensions and deeply focusing on production. The multiple function contribution of grazing livestock has been recognized, but just in qualitative value in terms of list of contribution, but not fully understand in qualified value for comparable. And the reason from the applying this tool have impact on the local dynamics when it brings a clear evidence to different stakeholders, including farmers, agricultural officers, cooperatives, private enterprise, and meat value chain actors to fully understand about the value of grazing livestock, the value of grazing land, and the link interaction of indicator and actor involving in the 4 dimensions at different levels. So, so far in Vietnam, in a different locality, each stakeholder may know certain may know and concern partly about the contribution of grazing livestock system at a certain level only, and the tool had to show them the full contribution of the whole system for better making strategy for the development, especially to really see the need of grazing land restoring and protection for sustainable livestock development. This we could see from the stakeholder feedback workshop. Just we implemented some short time ago. This is my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nguyen, to explain clearly what were the impact of this kind of approach of multifunctional framework in Vietnam. So I don't know whether Arona is available and can put his microphone on. Arona, can you hear us? If not, I will give the floor to Mariana, because Fernando Guzman was supposed to give some words about the Argentinian case. Mariana, Fernando is with you?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
And what about Fernando Guzman? Is he available?
I don't know. I'm asking him, but he's trying, but he can't.
Ah, okay.
So if you want, I can say something.
Yeah, please give some words in,
Okay.
let's say 2 minutes.
Yes, 2 minutes. Yes, for us, it was very interesting and important to bring to the table different voices about herders and grasslands, different disciplines and knowledge. We built up a multidisciplinary team, and it was very interesting to see the same case with the different social, economic, veterinaries, and so on and so on. And to put into dialogue different cosmovisions is too important for us, because our mind and our languages is very differently structured as the Aboriginal people here. We are trying. Interesting how here the herders consider the animals being as a part of family, a great family. For example, they ask forgiving when they kill them to eat. So the dialogue in intercultural dialogue is very a challenge for us. And as Rogerio said, yesterday, very important is to make the space and have the skills to consider all the languages, all the voices, all the cosmovisions, and so on, and the disciplines, and trying to hence our conceptualizations about this complex reality. For us, this was the main challenge, and we are thinking a lot about cosmovision strategies. Here, the Aboriginal people have not only one deal to product meat, for example. They have a lot of social networks and cosmovision about water and grasslands and animals, and all going in this play all together. So this is our challenge now. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mariana. So before giving the floor to the people who wants to ask some question, I don't know whether Arona Diao can hear us and can put his microphone on. I know he's in Burkina Faso, maybe not easy to have the line, but well, please, Arona, if never you want to say something and to say some words, please do it. Finally, we will give the floor to two persons who attend our webinar on the 28th of May, when we showed in detail these field cases. And as external people, not contributing directly to this work, so we asked them to analyze what were the results and how this approach impacted the way we are analyzing sustainability of grassland systems. So we are going to give the floor for 2 minutes again to Nancy first, and then to Sean. So Nancy is from the Bern University, and Sean from the International Meet Secretariat. So Nancy, please.
Thank you, Alexandre. Hi, everyone. So I will give a short feedback about my impressions on the case which has just been discussed by Mariana. So in the Puna in Northwest Argentina, this is a region that I don't know at all. So for me, it was very new and interesting to listen to this case. And what really struck me is this aspect that Mariana just mentioned, the fact that the framework in a way is aligned to the cosmovision of the people in this region. This dialogue between people and livestock, how livestock is part of the family, and how the framework actually addresses this complexity, although maybe not as perfectly as the people live it, but it's kind of a match to what people experience every day. So this was really interesting for me. And I think this is the case also because of this interdisciplinary approach, which has been used by INTA and by the whole team. And I believe the team consisted of veterinarians, agronomists, psychologists, ecologists, social scientists, and economists. So a wide panel of people. And I guess this also made the success of this understanding of this very complex system which prevails there. The methodology, I believe, was tested in a participatory way online because of COVID, but it was tested with the stakeholders. And there were some interesting outcomes or lessons. Mariana mentioned at that time that during the first presentation that there is a need to probably include new indicators, also indicators to capture the transmission of the local knowledge from one generation to the other. And this local knowledge is very crucial for resilience of the systems, because it allows the passage of this knowledge to in times of hardship, like climate shocks or like droughts and so on. So this is maybe one of the lessons learned. And also a lesson learned is that interdisciplinarity is not easy. It's very complex. So working all together, but it's indispensable, and it will go on in future. And I believe that within INTA also, this was a huge lesson learned, this interdisciplinary approach. So Mariana, I hope I did not forget anything important or say something wrong. Thank you. Over to you, Alexandre.
Okay, thank you very much, Nancy. And finally, Sean, so I give you the floor for the same exercise when you look at the French case. Sean.
Thank you, Alexandre, and it's a pleasure for me to be here to report to you on this multifunctional approach to pastoral livestock in the Mediterranean France. And the Mediterranean France, basically it's the south of France, an area between, let's say, the Pyrenees on the western side to Nice and the Côte d'Azur on the eastern side. It was a mountainous pastoral production system a very picture postcard, very pretty, good-looking production system. But of course, this applies equally to many other similar environments around the world, certainly easily in Europe. One of the things that really struck me first about this production system, and well, I mean, we can say this about all production systems, I'm sure, but you know, pastoralists are very, how do I say it? Photogenic, or very, it's a very romantic kind of image that we have of them. But what really struck me was just how hard that life was and the passion required to make a living from that. And in the system, I said earlier, it's a bit of a postcard system in the sense that because it's a seasonal, relies on a seasonal cycle, mountainous regions where you're basically grazing different areas in the summer and in the winter, there is this transhumance, which is this movement of livestock from the mountain pasture down to the lower part of the mountain in the winter, for example. And there's a whole tradition around that. They pass through town. There's a festival. The pastoralists dress up in traditional costumes, and so there's very much a cultural element to this as well. And I would have thought that this was a sort of system that would be easy to defend vis-a-vis the public. And I was very surprised actually to find that there was a lot of societal debate on this kind of system, in the sense that there is sometimes a conflict between the different uses of land. And some of that land that this pastoralism is taking place on is public land, or land that's organized by the regional governments. And in particular, during the tourist season, you know, there can sometimes be conflicting uses for that land. For example, between hikers having problems with guard dogs for the herders. I mean, you know, that's just one of many examples of the potential kinds of friction. There's also the friction from, let's say, environmental groups that would like to see a more natural environment, and I put that under square brackets because, you know, natural, what does that exactly mean? And just because you stop having livestock there, does that mean that actually becomes a natural environment that you want? So there is this debate that goes on, and it's a difficult debate because we want to recognize that there are trade-offs, but how do you have that discussion? And in particular, how do you have the discussion to communicate the multiple benefits of pastoralism? The fact that you're not only producing locally high quality protein, but you're making contributions to environment, you know, to management of soil, water, biodiversity, landscape, all these good things that even city dwellers can understand in theory, but then have a difficulty comprehending in reality when we go there on vacation, and what we want to do is we want to hike in the mountains. So basically, the video that we watched in this case study very much focused on these participatory processes that take place, these public debates between different stakeholders. And one of the interesting things that came out, I don't think you will be surprised, is the request for more assessment of this aspect of multifunctionality of pastoralism, and more assessment in a sense to make it available to pastoralists and to other stakeholders so that they can make better, more informed decisions. And just finally, I would just like to say that, you know, from a more global perspective, all livestock production systems have important contributions to make to the Sustainable Development Goals. I think this is something that the livestock sector should be proud of, and we can certainly look forward, I hope, to many long discussions in the future about how we continue to make improvements in livestock production systems to contribute to those. So just a final word on the pastoral system, really fascinating, very sorry, I'm going to use a French word. Well, you'll understand it's an English word, but I use it in a French sense, a very passionate debate. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean, for this comment on the multiple function of French in the French case. So yeah, I will give you the floor now. If there is anyone wanted to ask a question or make a comment, there is not so many comment in the chat. Maybe Professor Dr. Meena from, I don't know, India, maybe, if you want to say a word.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to all. Yes, my voice is clear, sir.
We hear you, but not very well.
Okay. Yes, I am Professor Meena from Rajasthan University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Bikaner, India.
Yeah.
So I have some queries regarding the global livestock production system. Can be all the scientific community can address some international issues, or we can provide some solutions as a whole. Like there are so many shortfall of the grazing areas of the different countries. So I think at least 10 to 15% of the land will be reserved for the pastorals or as well as the livestock purposes. And another important thing I would like to say over here, that the production system must be initiated as a organic livestock product as a whole, because we all are seeing that in the whole world there are so many diseases are coming from the livestock side. So if we can address all these things, it is very well platform. Thank you very much for providing such a good opportunity to me. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Meena. Yeah, I think your comment on how the grassland systems now are more in the focus, because as you can hear, maybe in the two first days during this global agenda MSP. In many regional discussions, people really today wants to put in the light this grassland system and maybe allow more support to grassland system, who seems to be quite aligned with all these agroecological and sustainable development issues. So and of course this multiple functions approach allow to tackle with these different sustainable development goals. I don't know whether there is any other comments.
Can I, Alexandre?
Yes, who is that? Rogerio?
Yes.
Yeah, go on, Rogerio.
Yeah, just to let you know that we are using the model for academic use, and it's very important for me to use the model for students so they can learn much better the interaction between grassland and society and local development, etc. It's a very useful tool for us in Brazil. Thank you very much for this.
Okay, thank you, Rogerio, for this comment. Yeah, and at present we are we have been building on, let's say, 2 or 3 different models adapted to Sahelian context, to Vietnamese context, and as you say, we have the project to develop it in the Brazilian context, Amazonian context, let's say, or other part of Brazilian, to help build some debates with students, which are some need to understand exactly what are these different functions and what are the trade-offs between different functions, because this is really a challenge to deal with these trade-offs. Any other comment? Maybe from people from the team, if you want to add something. Arona, are you? Can you hear us? No, you are still mute. Okay. Can't see any other comment in the chat. So maybe we will give back the floor for the next session.
Okay, Alexandre.
Okay, Eduardo, so you can,
I see a last hand there. Shin raised his hand.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, it was only just to say that, you know, the concept of multifunctionality is indeed a very interesting one, but it's very complex, and I don't think we can underestimate the amount of effort, additional effort that we need. Really encourage us to support this kind of work. It's clearly the future of livestock production systems to include not just to not only consider the food production part, but all the other important contributions. That was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. I think this is a very important point. I think this multifunctional approach, you're right, is a very complex organization and a complex analysis. But I think if we really want to go for sustainable development, we have to deal with this complexity, and this is one of the ways to deal with this complexity. I think we can't continue to have very sectorial approach, you know, in terms of disciplines, in terms of activities on the field, and we really have to deal with this complexity to go for sustainable development. And this is one of the tools I think we can use today. And you're right, it is complex, but we have to deal with this complexity anyway. Thank you very much.
Alexandre?
Yes, Mariana?
Yes, thank you. The other challenge, very interesting, is how to be an expert in our own discipline and to put our mind open to see all the complexity, but keeping our expertise very hard. So very ecologist, but taking in account the culture, the economy, hearing the others and hear the other cosmovisions. And this is a big challenge for us. This is the problem of making a multidisciplinary team.
Yeah, thank you, Mariana. I think everybody can have to bring in the basket his own expertise, but if you don't discuss with other disciplines, then what are you doing exactly? We can see today what are the results of some of this very disciplinary or sectorial analysis and development. It has led to all this environmental impact of livestock, some of the livestock activities anyway. Okay, thank you very much. I think we can end now, and I give you the floor back, Eduardo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandre, and thank you everybody for your participation today.